Hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. Let me mute this. Stand by. There we go. I'm all set up to listen to Shortwave. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. The gray line, if I go to here, here's the gray line. So the gray line, I thought I muted that. Wait a minute. Stop. Okay, pause. Mute. There we go. Anyway, oh geez, I am so screwed up. Anyway, the gray line is approaching me here in Florida. So things should be getting better. And this is the bad news. Solar flux index. As you can see, it's on a trend where it's rising. We want it above 100, and it was above 100 for a couple of days back in October, but now it's down here in 70s, maybe 80. So that's killing us. So let's close that for a moment, and then we'll go back to this, and I'll tell you what progress I have made. One of my subscribers, about a year ago, I think, he was watching my video about SDR Uno, which is what I'm using right now, and he has a SDR Play device, SDR. He has I think he has the RSP-1A, and so he uses SDR Uno. And he saw that one of the things I was doing is a lot of work using these memory banks and using them to scan. And I had gotten, at that time, I had gotten several data banks off of the internet that I was using. He made a database for me from the EIBI database, which is huge, and it's updated, I think, either twice a year or 4 times a year. I don't remember which. And you can use that directly and import it, but it's got all kinds of duplicates. And the reason it has duplicates is because it includes frequencies of a station and their multiple programs that they have during the day. So you get, like, for just pick a frequency for 6.0 megahertz, say there's some station and they broadcast during the day different programs. In that database, there will be multiple entries for each of the programs. So when you're trying to use that database raw as a scan database, which is what I'm showing you right now. I'm scanning off this database. It takes forever because it's going to stop, say there were 6 entries for 6.0 megahertz. It's going to stop on every one of those. So it's going to scan to 6.0, it's going to go to the next 6.0, the next, so it's just unusable. Well, what he did for me is he took that database, put it into Excel, wrote a macro to delete all the duplicates so that there's only 1 entry per frequency. Now, you do lose some of the stations that are on the same frequency. Like, for instance, I just say an example, 6 megahertz. Say there's 5 stations that broadcast on 6 megahertz. He deleted, per my request, he deleted all but the first entry, so that when you did a scan, because I'm using this for scan purposes, when you do a scan, it doesn't stop on all 5 or 6 entries on a given frequency. So he did that for me, and I've been using that for almost a year now. Maybe it was the first of the year he gave me that. So it's out of date, and that database changes. It's a good database. The EIBI database is a good database because it's updated periodically. So I was running on an old database which had entries that were incorrect, stations that have gone off the air, new stations that were added. And on top of that, I was using the Fran plugin, which is what you see putting all these station IDs up here. That's what Fran's doing for me. So when I downloaded the latest version of Fran, that was in March, it had a database with it, like a version, I think, of the EIB database. So number one, they weren't in sync. The one that the gentleman made for me and the one that came with Fran, they didn't have the same information. So it was slightly off. So I've been mentioning several times in the past month or so that I was hoping he would, because I lost his email, I was hoping he would contact me and do an update for me. Well, he saw one of my shows about a week or so ago, and he did an update for me using the latest EIB database, which just came out a few weeks ago. And so that's what I'm using now. So I took that and I cut out all the frequencies below 5 megahertz. Not really interested in lower than 5 megahertz because the database starts at long wave. So it's long wave, medium wave, and so on. So I just wanted from 5 megahertz to 30 megahertz. So it was very easy to do, just delete those entries. Then I had to change the antenna that's used. He had it defaulted to the high Z antenna. I guess that's what he uses on his SDR. Well, I use antenna connection A on my SDR. So I just changed that. That was an easy change. Then I imported that database, that CSV database, into SDR Uno. Then I saved it as a database file, which is a .s1b. Then when I loaded Fran, it asked me for a file. I told it to load that file. So now the two files are in sync. So what it's scanning and what Fran is showing on the screen are identical. So I'm ready to go listen to Shortwave. Unfortunately this morning, and I finished all that yesterday, and so I'm down in my workshop where I've got my best SDR Play SDR, which is the RSP DX, and my best antenna, which is my Megaloop antenna. So I came down here and I'm like, okay, let's see what's on Shortwave. Well, when I started this about 30 minutes ago, there was nothing. I thought the antenna was broken. I was getting nothing. Now you can see on the screen here, we got some signals popping up. So maybe things now have improved since that gray line is moving closer to me. Let me see where it is now. I think this updates automatically, but I'll do an update. So let's see where it is. It's right about there, cutting through right here. Okay, so let's see what it does when I do a refresh. I think it's refreshing automatically. So it's creeping towards me. And once it gets where it is right now, things start improving. In general. Doesn't always work. So let's go do a scan, or let it scan and see what it finds. So here we go. I'm going to start the scan and I'm going to shut up. Okay, we're not getting much above 10 megahertz at this time of the morning. So what I'm going to say is, so here is the database that the gentleman was kind enough to generate for me. So it's got all the duplicates out. Okay, let's stop. And we'll mute. And we'll mute. So it's over here. So here's the database that he generated for me. So it's got all the duplicates out. So for each frequency, there's only one entry, which is the first entry for that particular frequency. So there might be, say on 5.05, there may have been multiple entries in the database, but he took those out. He had also sent me originally one with everything in it, and I tried to do a scan and it would just, as I described before, it was just slow as mud. So in order to not lose all those other stations that was in his database that he sent me originally, I saved that one and I use that when I load Fran in the plugins right up here. And let me go unload Fran. Okay, now I'll load Fran to show you. And then it asks you for a file. So I say, and what I have to do is I have to say all. And then I pick, where is it? And I go to downloads where I stored it. And under Mike generated a whole bunch of databases. Here it is right here, the B21 full. So this one is the one the gentleman sent me originally, which has all of the entries. So I got the best of both worlds. I got the database that the second one he generated, which removed the duplicates, so I can use that to scan, and I have the full one with everything in it that Fran uses. So on the screen, when I'm scanning, it shows everything on a given frequency. So let's start to scan over. Oh, here, this 5 megahertz. Oh. Now that's interesting. Oh, because it's not in the database. All right. Well, that's weird. I don't see any thing from Fran. Let me stop this. I did load it. Maybe I didn't. Okay, load. Yeah, I didn't get it loaded. I clicked on the file and then it didn't load. I don't know why. Whoops. What did I do now? I'm so messed up. Okay, Fran. Load plugin. Oh, it's already loaded. Let me unload it. Load plugin. File. Now we want to go to download is where I stored the file, and I store it under Mike, and I want all files. And there's my B21 full, which has everything. Open. Oh, there we go. I must have missed the file. I realized the other thing is down here in my workshop, I'm using an old monitor, and it turns out it's only a 19-inch monitor, and there is so much information and windows and everything going on in SDR Uno that I need a bigger monitor like I have up in my office. So I do have a spare 23-inch monitor I can bring down here and swap out with this monitor. It's this monitor's, although it gives me a nice crisp picture, it's just too small and everything is kind of cramped. So anyway, let's try again to do a scan here, and we'll scan for a minute or so, and then we'll call it quits, because as you can see, the Even the noise level is down in the mud, which is good, but there's no signals. Okay, now this is, let me mute. This is where it stopped on a frequency. Oh, okay, yeah, there it is. So there's this right here is from this database. What's on the screen is from the similar database as I mentioned before, but it's the full one that Fran is using. So Fran is using that full database to show all these stations. Let's let it scan. Okay, I'll let it go up to, seem to be improving. That could be Radio Romania. So we are getting some signals now. Okay, we're going to call it quits. We are getting some signals, but they're still pretty weak. Again, oh, I said pause. Thought I did. The solar flux index is just killing us. That's a very important parameter. And we need it to be above 100, and it's like 80 or below right now. So that's it. I mainly wanted to thank the gentleman who created this updated database for me and just show you how it works in SDR Uno. Now, SDR Uno will work with other SDRs than just the SDR Play SDRs. It will work with other ones. Just have to configure it. That's it. If you enjoyed the show, please give me a thumbs up. That tells me I'm doing things that you're interested in, not wasting your time. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you're I'd appreciate if I knew how to talk. If you would subscribe, and have a great day. Bye-bye.